Hi everybody, in the last video we looked at how to render the task we have entered and how to test that functionality. The problem is right now that when we enter a new task, the application doesn't re-render. So we put it's in local storage, but our application has no idea about it. Let's go back now to our project's code. And for this to work, we would have to make a few changes to the API of our component, of our task form component. The main problem is we need our tasks to come from a single source. In the task list component, they come from the app component, as they are passed as an input. And in our task form component, we need to communicate that a new task was added. So our app component, the one that holds the value of all of our tasks, to re-render all of them. To do that, in our task form component, we will use something that Angular provides us, and that's the output. And we can auto-import this from the Angular core. We can call it new task added. Let's call it task added, and this is gonna be new event emitter. It's gonna emit our task interface, and let's import our task interface as well. The one thing, make sure that you import event emitter from Angular core and not from protractor like I did here. One change we can do here is we can delete this line, and we can delete this line, and we can write and we can now emit this task added, emit our new task, and we don't need this as well. So this is the only thing we need. We are adding a new task and we are emitting the new value upward to the component that's going to listen to it, and the component that's going to listen to it's going to be app component HTML. So we're going to listen to it as follows. So we're taking this property here and let's make them the same value. So we're taking this and putting it here, and now we need to define a method, an app component task, that's going to get called when this event happens. And let's call this add new task, and we're going to pass here an event data. This is going to accept the new task, and what we're going to do here, we're going to rewrite our task with all of our old values plus our new task. Next, we're going to take that line that sets local storage with our new tasks that we took from task from component task and copy and paste it here. And now let's run ng-test. So because our API changed, one of the things that's going to happen in this case is that your test is going to break. Like this, task from component should add new task to local storage on clicking submit. And the reason this test breaks this is specifically the test that breaks. It's because we took this responsibility from this component. We took the responsibility of adding new tasks to the local storage from task from component, and we placed that responsibility into our app component.ts. So the way this works is we can take this test and put this test into our app component.ts. We're copying this and cutting this piece of code, this snippet of code from here, saving. Now all of our tests pass, but we still want to test that local storage functionality. So let's actually paste it here. But instead of testing task from component, let's test app component and render that. Save this. And this is almost going to work. It doesn't work because it cannot bind tasks since it isn't a known property of app task list. What does it mean is in our app component HTML we have this, and when it renders, it doesn't know that it's a component that accepts tasks because we did not declare it here. And if we do, I'm sorry, this is not it. If we do task list component, this is gonna render, and all of our tests gonna pass. So what we needed to do is just copy and paste that piece of test and move it into app component, because this piece of test, this functionality, at this point is no longer responsibility of task form, and now is responsibility of the app component. Now what we can also add to this test, we can also add and test the new functionality that we have added right now, and that is in our tasks list we have this ng4 that goes in a loop all of our values that we have added, and in here we can test by data test ID, and this task list component is already declared here in our spec, and it's gonna render with our app component, so we can safely test this. And we can test it, just write component get by test ID. And we know that our data attribute here is called in a task list component. Let's go there. tasks list is called task dash and the index of the element. In our case, we have only one, so that's going to be this. Text content to be task name. Let's also trim this and see what happens. So we have 4 successful tests. Let's see that this is actually not failing. Let's add 1 just to see our test fail. Okay, so it does check properly. Everything works. Let's get it back. So we added a new functionality. We didn't do much work. We just moved one test from one component to another because we refactored some code. We changed the responsibilities of our components, and we wrote one new line of test, and this is it.